All right, good afternoon, good morning to most of you. Welcome to our Vigil team call. This is the last one for this month. I mean, where did August go? I know with conference and everything else, this month just seemed to fly by. I can't believe it's already over and kids have been in school for almost 2 weeks at this point. So it's crazy how time flies, especially when you're busy with a lot of other things. But for today, guys, I wanted to start off with sharing a couple things, right? So I'm gonna share the symmetry underwriting cheat sheet. And and the reason I want to share this is because I don't know if you guys know, but there's a lot of um good resources within the cheat sheet, right? Or the so like if you hover over any of these, right, where it says e-apps, you'll be able to see what the applications look like. And the reason I want you guys to know that is because when you're doing client qualification forms, um, sometimes we need to dig a little deeper, right? So if someone tells you that they have, diabetes, what are some additional questions you can ask with someone that has diabetes? Is it type 1, type 2? Have you ever been hospitalized because of it? Any other complications with the diabetes, neuropathy, retinopathy, any tingling, numbness, anything like that that may be affecting you. Any gout. Gout seems to be really big with diabetes. And another very important question is to ask what their most recent A1C reading was. A lot of times it's hard to get people coverage if they're over 8.0, right? 7.1 or 6.4 to 7.1 is like the baseline. So like, if they're between there, they're usually okay. Anything above that, you're gonna have a really hard time getting people placed with an instant decision product outside of final expense. And when you start to learn those additional questions, it makes your job a lot easier as a field underwriter. That way you know what direction to go. So you don't, if you have someone that has, 9.6 A1C and they've got gout or something like that, you're not going to try and place them with an LGA policy. We do have certain carriers that are more lenient when it comes to diabetes, specifically like Foresters, right? Forrester Strong Foundation. They have an additional uh, diabetes worksheet or questionnaire that you can fill out. And it's just always good to have those downloaded. That way, when you're asking people those questions and you're doing the qualification forms, if someone says, "Oh yeah, I deal with diabetes, I've got this," you can just look at that questionnaire and ask those additional questions right off the bat. That way you know what direction you're going to go in instead of, spinning your wheels trying to get a client covered with something that they're most likely not going to get covered with. The other thing that I want you guys to see, and I'm going to share this with you guys as well again, is over here on the underwriting cheat sheet, um, and in SFG quotes. So let me come here real quick. We have the rep list. So if you ever have questions, you can always just click on this and talk to the different carriers that we have. I added Gerber in recently, Athene and Assurity. But if you're on the cheat sheet, the phone number to the carrier is right here. And the carrier is going to have the most up-to-date answers, right? Like I may not know what UHL will say is acceptable for someone without calling them myself because the rules do change, right? So the application changes over time, the underwriting guidelines change. They don't change a whole lot, but different things come into play. So when you guys are doing your underwriting, I just want you guys to be able to have the tools at your fingertips that are best suited for that, right? Um, I'm also working on another qualification form that goes in a little bit more detail that I'll send you guys that way you guys can start using. I know Chris Leak has a great qualification form as well in the Mortgage Protection University. And the one that we have through Quility is decent, right? But it's very basic. When you're using Funnel though, and you're using the dynamic script within Funnel, it'll ask you a little, some of those deeper questions that you can ask. So depending on what model you're using, right? If you're just doing strictly telesales and not using the funnel, it'd be good for you to have a more in-depth qualification form. If you're using funnel, I would just stick with that because it's going to guide you to the right policy from there. And then if you're if you're doing somewhere in between, you can use SFG quotes, right? Use the virtual mentor. There's a link there specifically in SFG quotes. I'll show you guys again. So if you're here within SFG quotes, you just click up here on the very top. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing.
I was just gonna say your screen. I can't see it.
So on SFG quotes, we have a link for virtual mentor right at the top. And this virtual mentor is nearly identical to what you're using within funnel. Okay. The difference between this one though and funnel is it's going to give you all the options that they possibly qualify for, whereas um, funnel is going to give you like the top three. Um, doesn't mean that virtual mentor is not good. When you're in virtual mentor, it will also show you, it'll give you options to run the quote, to look at the agent guide, and then go right into the application. So there's a lot of great tools within virtual mentor. Let me just click on that. And then I got to stop share and share again. Sorry, because I only shared the specific screen. So in here, we'll just, we'll do one that I was working on the other day. And he was 318, 511, 510. Doesn't really matter on that part, Colorado. And then we'll put diabetes, diagnosed prior to 35. And then we'll just say met, right? Metformin. And then we'll click search. And that'll tell us, right? So United Home Life, QSFC Deluxe, and then all the other UHLs, and then obviously Mutual of Omaha Guaranteed Advantage. And then if you want to just click on core carriers, it would limit, it's already limited to that anyway, but it gives you a good idea of where to go now, right? So when you apply, it'll start off with the deluxe, and then if they answer certain questions within that, it'll drop them down to the graded benefit. And then you always have the other option of the simple term DLX as well. But if you look right here, there's a build chart, right? So you can see here at 5'10", his maximum weight would be 322 pounds. You have the agent guide available right there, and then you can just run the quote simply from right there. So wanted to make sure that you guys knew that. It just helps you become a better field underwriter, right? Um, it sometimes can feel like when you're doing this business, especially when you're brand new, you're like, well, I don't know where to go, right? And that's why I ask you guys when you fill out your CQF, send me a copy of it via WhatsApp, right? And the reason I ask for that is because it's easy to keep track of things there. And then if I jump on Zoom with you guys, I can share the WhatsApp directly from the screen rather than trying to share it from my phone, right? So it makes it a lot easier for me to help you guys when it comes to the underwriting guide. Um, let's see here. All right. And then the other thing, I don't know that many of you guys know this, but as independent agents here at Cemetery, we have what's called Protect the Protector. So I'm going to go to HQ, guys, and I'm going to show you guys where to find that as well. Okay. Share. So when you're in HQ, you click on Resources, you go over to Agent Benefits, and then you've got Protect the Protector. So we have everyone that's a first year agent gets their premiums paid for on an insurance policy through Cemetery. So you'll be able to apply for that there. And then we also have the access for the health benefits. So just something that I wanted you guys to know. I've had that question come up a couple times most recently on some interviews that I was doing, and I wanted people to understand that that is available to them. So if you guys are doing recruiting calls, right, or you're talking to people that are looking to come on board, it's a great opportunity for you to utilize that.
And do you know, Michael, I know, is it through Marketplace or is it actually through like a third party that we utilize directly for the health? Because I've gotten that question a lot too on the interviews and I wasn't ever 100% sure.
Yeah, so it is through a third party vendor. It's not through the marketplace. The brand or the it says that it's sponsored by Elite Consulting, also known as Triforta.
Okay. Thank you.
You got it. Yeah, and I encourage all of you guys, just to at least click on the portal, register for the portal, and you guys can run yourself some numbers. For my family, it runs just over $900, and that includes health, dental, and vision. But we also have that with the highest coverages that they allow, right? We also have like hospital indemnity in there, catastrophic, like for something that Brenda's dealing with right now, my out-of-pocket cost would be like $250. And then maybe, another $250 when it comes to the specialty things. So, but I mean, you guys don't ever want to be hit, with a 25, $30,000 hospital bill. There's a lot of things that we do have to pay for out of pocket because I'm an impatient person, right? So, Julia and I are paying for a lot of services out of pocket just because I don't want to go through the rigmarole of, okay, let's do this, and then if that doesn't work, let's do this, and if that doesn't work, and keep going through that process. So we know that there's something that should work, and we can, eliminate 6 to 18 months. I'll just pay for it out of pocket, and sometimes, I mean, it costs us a pretty penny, right? Some of these things that she's had done are $60,000. I mean, it's crazy how much healthcare is, but we have the availability for us to get covered with that. All right. Um, let's see here. Um, Sorry, I had another page up. And then, so the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys was like, if you have questions sometimes too, let's say you're working late and the call centers aren't open, right? And I'm not available and someone's not answering on WhatsApp. You guys can always utilize, one of the AIs, right? Like ChatGPT, I use it all the time, right? Um, like Chuck had a question last night about a H1B visa, right? So I researched it on Google and then I put it into ChatGPT and then I ran it against a couple of the carriers' agent guides and it just pulled out all the information that I needed to read. And that way I just had a snapshot and a summary of what was, eligible and what carriers that would be eligible for. Because we work different time zones, right? So like if you're working Pacific, if you're on the Pacific time zone and you're working at 5 o'clock Pacific time, I mean a lot of the carriers are already closed by that time, right? So you just need to be able to have all the resources at your fingertips. The other thing that you can always do too is just go to the agent guide, type in the keyword, right? So whatever your keyword is. So if you're on the Foresters, um, on the Forester's agent guide, you can just type in visa and it'll show you everything that's eligible on visas. And something that to know as well, guys, is Forester's recently made a sweeping change on who's eligible for policies, and the number of people eligible now has increased dramatically because they've allowed ITINs, right? And all the different types of visas that they allow. LGA has a lot of good opportunities to get those people insured as well, with work visas or travel, not travel visa, but like a school visa, those different types of things. Those people are eligible as well to get coverage with the different carriers. All right. So those were some of the questions that I had over the last couple of weeks that I wanted to just cover as a whole. And then the other thing I just wanted to share again with you guys is our team site, right? So vhillteam.com. Password is Thrive 2025 with a capital T. And some of the things that we have here is if you need to get a carrier contract, you can click on this link. So SureLC carrier contracting links, and then you're already registered. If you're appointed and contracted with Symmetry, you're already registered. So click on that one. If you need to check policy statuses, then we have a pending Airtable link and we have an issue paid link. So these are two great links for you guys to be able to click on to help you track your business for promotions. I was working with Alexandria and Omar looking at their promotions. And even if you guys don't qualify on a slingshot this month, maybe you had the volume last month to get promoted on the traditional level by hitting 2 months in a row. And that's where Omar and Alex are, right? They've got enough volume last month to count that as 1 month of qualification. And now they're in month two and they're working on getting that done. There's a bunch of different links here that you guys can use. But if you guys need to schedule time with me, again, there's the coaching call and that will be updated on Friday. I'm waiting um for another another couple meetings that I have to get scheduled in there before I open up that time, but there'll be more time in there as well for you guys to be able to do that. And then if you guys ever need to see any of the Zoom replays, you can click on these links, right? So we got Zoom replays before 2024 and then anything after 2024 you guys can look at. Then we've got access to recruiting and then the agent activation accelerator if you guys need to, if you guys are building and need to just find the direct link for that, okay? So I'm going to turn it over to you guys for questions that you guys may have that I didn't cover today.
I
Any,
got nothing.
all right. Chuck, anything? Kenneth? Omar? Justine?
Not at the moment, thank you.
All right. All right, guys. Well, that's going to cover it for today. Like I said, I want to just cover the questions that you guys did have. It's important to me that I get those answered. If you guys need those coaching calls or need to work on goals or anything like that, just let me know and I'm happy to do that. And again, so just to put it out there, don't forget to register for Engage if you plan on going to that over in Texas in March. I encourage all of you guys to get registered for that. I got registered for that yesterday myself. And then we're, making a big push for you guys that want to get to agency owner, make that a goal to be agency owner by Ignite, and we're going to cover the hotels and stuff like that for you guys for that if you guys get to agency owner by then. So I know that a lot of you guys have some big goals to get there. So let me do whatever I can to help. And if not, let me get you the resources connected to other people that might be able to help you as well. All right. With that, I hope you guys have a good one and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Bye, guys.